Good morning. I'm Neal McGee, and we're out at Kensaw Park this morning. The sun is rising. It's a new day. It's Sunday morning, Easter Sunday morning. Our Holy Week passage for today is Matthew 28, 1 through 10. Let me read it to you. Early on Sunday morning, as the new day was dawning, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary went out to visit the tomb. Suddenly there was a great earthquake, for an angel of the Lord came down from heaven, rolled aside the stone, and sat on it. His face shone like lightning, and his clothing was as white as snow. The guards shook with fear when they saw him, and they fell into a dead faint. Then the angel spoke to the women. "Don't be afraid," he said. "I know you are looking for Jesus, who was crucified. He isn't here. He is risen from the dead, just as he said would happen. Come, see where his body was lying. And now go quickly and tell his disciples that he is risen from the dead, and he is going ahead of you to Galilee. You will see him there. Remember what I have told you." The women ran quickly from the tomb. They were very frightened, but also filled with great joy, and they rushed to give the disciples the angel's message. And as they went, Jesus met them and greeted them. And they ran to him, grasped his feet, and worshiped him. Then Jesus said to them, "Don't be afraid. Go tell my brothers to leave for Galilee, and they will see me there." There are a couple of things that I would like to discuss from this passage. The first is that we see several times the words, "Don't be afraid." Because of what Jesus did on this day, some 2,000 years ago, we no longer have to be afraid. He rose from the dead and defeated sin and death forever. And if we believe that, then we don't have to live in fear. And even in those times that we might be fearful of something going on in our lives, like these two women from our story, we can also choose to be filled with great joy because he is risen. The second thing is, when these women discovered that Jesus had risen from the grave, they ran to tell others this great news. When we discover who Jesus is and what he's done, we should also run to tell others the good news. This is not an optional activity for believers. This is what we're here for. And if we keep reading this passage in Matthew, we find that when Jesus finally met up with the disciples a short while later, he gave them this instruction: to go and make disciples of all nations. Again, this is what believers are supposed to do. Here's the last thing I want to point out. Let's look at verses 8 and 9 again. The women ran quickly from the tomb. They were very frightened, but also filled with great joy. And they rushed to give the disciples the angel's message. And as they went, Jesus met them and greeted them. And they ran to him, grasped his feet, and worshiped him. Jesus met them in their obedience and belief, and then they worshiped him. They did what the angel told them to do. As they went, Jesus met them. Jesus will also meet us in our obedience and belief. It's called faith. It's Easter Sunday. He is risen. Worship him today because he is worthy. I hope that you can apply some of this to your life as you celebrate Easter today.